Hello everyone, this is Gary from Fantastic Fundas, and in this lecture we are going to talk about further communalism. Okay, basically we are talking about the formation of the All India Muslim League. Then we also talk about this so-called the Hindu Mahasabha, okay, and then also about those small movements, Ehrar movement and Deoband school, all that, and then finally about also the Hindu national, Hindu communalism. We will be talking about that Hindu communalism. Okay, so these are the themes of today's topic, right? I hope you have listened to the earlier lecture. Only then you will be better able to appreciate this one, because this is just a continuation of the earlier lecture. Okay, now. See what had happened. We know that among the educated Muslims, okay, educated Muslims, we know Sir Syed Ahmad Khan was working a great deal for the education of the Muslims. So in the educated Muslims, there was and plus all the big Nawabs in the Muslims, okay, the rich people and the landlords in the Muslims, right? All these people. They were quite loyal to the Britishers, okay, and they had all the separatist tendency also, right? And all these people, this reached its climax, okay, this reached its peak in 1906, and that is the time when or basically this is the year when All India Muslim League was formed. Actually, what had happened earlier, there was literary movement in Muslims started by Sir Syed Ahmad Khan, okay, and then he was the central figure, okay. And then what happened? Sir Syed Ahmad Khan, he founded what is called as the Mohammedan Educational Conference. Mohammedan Educational Conference. Okay, Mohammedan Educational Conference, and this was in 1886. Now this conference originally it banned itself, it's just a self restraint that they will not discuss what is the all the political questions, okay, these will not be discussed. But then in 1906 this ban was uplifted, okay, the ban was into airs, and that finally led to the formation of the All India Muslim League, in which initially there were 3,000 members who attended it. That is how the Muslim League is founded, right? And Muslim League over here, it is founded under the leadership of three people. The main three people who are here are: number one is Mr. Aga Khan. Then number two over here is the Nawab of Dhaka. Okay, Nawab of Dhaka. Right. Number three, it was Nawab Mohsin ul Mulk. These names are very important. They have been asked in UPSC many times, so you must remember them now. Okay, so Nawab of not of, okay, his name was Nawab Mohsin ul Mulk, right? So these were the three main people, and they had like a very extremist kind of tendency in themselves, okay, because this movement, essentially this Muslim League movement, when it started, it was a loyalist movement, okay, you can write this in your paper. When it started, it was a loyalist movement. It was definitely a communal movement, and it was a movement, this political organization, it was a conservative movement, okay, conservative movement, right? And then they did not, this Muslim League which was from, it did not criticize colonialism. According to them, they had no criticism of the colonialism, right? They supported the partition of Bengal, this is All India Muslim League, right? And they demanded, in fact, special safeguards for Muslims, okay, special safeguards for Muslims. And they got also this, right? If you remember, with the help of the Lord Minto, we did this in Governor General's lecture, and in fact when it was put forward to him, and they also got it when the demand for separate electorates was accepted by the Minto, and that was in the Government of India Act 1909, right? So on the one hand, where Congress, right, it was taking anti-imperialist economic and political issues. One hand is the Congress over here, which has Hindus, Muslims, all the people, okay. So it was having an overarching representation of everyone in the community. देखिए एक तरफ तो है मुस्लिम लीग बन रही, जो कि लॉयलिस्ट है, कम्यूनल है, बड़ा मुस्लिम, उनका मुस्लिम उस कम्यूनल एलिमेंट है, ठीक है जी, सेकुलरवाद में नहीं विश्वास कर रही है, जो धर्म निरपेक्ष नहीं है. दूसरी तरफ है कांग्रेस, इसके अंदर हिंदू मुस्लिम सारे लोग हैं, और जो कि हु आर हैविंग एंटी इंपीरियलिस्ट स्टैंड. See, for people who understand only English language, whatever I see in Hindi, that is only for Hindi speaking people. Nothing is missed in English, whatever is said in Hindi. Okay. Then anti-imperialist economic and political issues हो जाते हैं, right? See, the reason I speak Hindi is because I keep on getting a lot of emails that I include Hindi. Then I keep on getting emails include English. So I just chosen the midway. I hope it helps all, right? So anti-imperialist stand is there, okay, economic on political issues. And the Muslim League, it said that, whereas the Muslim League over here, it is saying, this is Indian Muslim League over here, it is saying that the interest of Hindus and Muslims are not same, they are different from each other. So this is how it is, right? And see, I told you that it's a loyalist and the communal movement. I'll give you a proof of it, right? See what happens. This Nawab of during one of the sessions, there was Nawab Wakarul Mulk, okay, at Aligarh, and he said this thing, that God forbid if the British rule disappears from India, Hindus will lord over it. Agar British rule chala gaya, Hindus raj karenge. And we will be in constant danger of our life, property and honor. See, again, the threat of religion, we are in danger because we're in minority. It doesn't happen like that, but that threat is being spreaded. Even these days, the same policies used by the politicians, a lot of politicians at least use, if not all. So the only way for the Muslim to escape the danger is to help in the continuance of the British rule. So Muslims ke liye better hai ki British rule chale, okay? And Muslims are heartily with the British, then the rule is bound to endure. So this way, they are ready to serve the British crown, okay? That is how it is going on. Anyway, so further, what happened, that Muslim leagues, it started working against the Congress and against the Hindus, both of them, right? And this is how the communalism is spreading. And even league, this also this opposes, let me just write it here, Muslim League started opposing Hindus, the Congress, and all the anti-British stand, okay? And in fact, they oppose every kind of nationalistic demand or whatever it was, democratic demand, okay? All the democratic ideas, all of them were opposed by the Muslim League, because they thought it is better to have continuation of the British rule. Otherwise, many Muslim League people said that the life, property and honor, okay, life, property and honor of the Muslims is in danger. This is that lie they were spreading. ये एक झूठ है, ऐसा कुछ नहीं था. They were serving their only self-interest, okay? Now, then with this, what happened, that now British are aware that what Muslim League is doing, okay? So the British started using Muslim League to divide and rule on India, to divide the Hindus from Muslims, and then rule over India. So so what happened? What Britishers started doing, Britishers said, we will protect the special interest of the Muslims, okay? What are those special interests? These are not of Muslims, okay? These are interests of the Britishers, but they're calling it the special interest of the Muslim. And in fact, through Muslim League, Britishers actually thought that we will fight the nationalistic movement. We will fight a nationalistic movement in India, okay? A movement in India through the Muslim League. We will use Muslim League for fighting the nationalistic movement. And how they would do that? They would do that by keeping, intelligentsia. Whenever there are intelligentsia, there people who really do something for the development. See, this is intelligentsia is removed, okay, among the Muslims. They are not allowed to join the intellectual movement, and since they do not, how do you expect the masses in the Muslims to expect? And because intelligentsia is the society, part of the society which people follow, because they have knowledge and awareness and intellect. एंड हाउ विड द मुस्लिम्स फॉलो? अकलमंद लोग हैं समाज के, उनको अंग्रेज़ों ने अपने साथ जोड़ लिया. अब जो अनपढ़ हैं, जो मुस्लिम्स के अंदर अनपढ़ हैं, जो ज़्यादातर अनपढ़ थे मुस्लिम उस टाइम पे, वो तो क्या करेंगे? वो भी कम्यूनल हो गए, क्योंकि पढ़े लिखे अनपढ़ हैं. पढ़े लिखे जो हैं, दे आर कम्यूनल. सो टू इंक्रीज इट यूजफुलनेस, ब्रिटिशर्स ने तो दे ऑल्सो इंकरेज मुस्लिम लीग टू अप्रोच द मुस्लिम मासेस एंड टू अज्यूम देयर लीडरशिप. मुस्लिम लीग को ब्रिटिशर्स encourage, they said you become the ruler, right? Now it is true, that the nationalist movement was at this time dominated by educated town dwellers, okay? But in its anti-imperialism, it was representing the interest of all Indians. See, anti-imperialist movement, it is true fact, okay, that the anti-imperialist movement at this time, it was being run by the people who were educated, okay? Number one, who were educated, and number two, they were mostly urban. And that is why Gandhi, that is how Gandhi plays his role. He takes it the movement to rural area. We read that later, just to help you remember the fact But here in the urban class, urban setting, what is happening? Okay, there is one side there is educated class and they are urban only. But then even this whatever educated urban class was, they were supporting rich, poor, okay, rich and poor and Hindus and Muslims. So they were supporting everyone. That is how it was going. Okay, now. But on the other hand, Muslim League, what it was doing, as it also had upper class leaders, right? And they had little common with the interest of the Muslim masses. They were just serving their own interest. So this was the movement of the Indian Muslim League, okay, which became highly communal, and actually it is the Muslim League on whom the primary responsibility for the partition of the country lies. Okay, so they got communal. Okay, the basic weakness of the league, it was recognized by the patriotic Muslims. So many patriotic Muslims, many secular Muslims came forward at this time. Okay, these Muslims who were good Muslims, the patriotic Muslim, they said, Mr. Muslim League or Mr. The Nawab of Dhaka and all the people, what are you doing? Muslims doesn't mean that we are against India. We also support India. Muslims are equally Indians. And that is why the educated Muslim young men, they were particularly attracted, these patriots were attracted to the radical nationalistic ideas, who wanted big changes in India, radical nationalistic ideas. That was their main thing, right? And that is why we see militant nationalist movements. For example, there was Ehrar movement, which is highly nationalistic movement run by the Muslims in the support of the freedom movement of the country. Okay, and it was who founded it, this movement, Ehrar movement. Okay, this was founded by Maulana Muhammad Ali, number one. Hakim Ajmal Khan, very prominent people. Okay, Hakim Ajmal Khan. So you see, it is not about the religion, okay, it is about how you think. Even Muslims are supporting Indians, so a lot of them actually, and it was this Ehrar movement. It was under leadership of Maulana Muhammad Ali, Hakim Ajmal Khan, then there was Hassan Imam, okay, then there was Maulana Zafar Ali, okay, and then there was Mazhar ul Haq. Right, let's quickly revise these names. Okay, so first of all, we see Maulana Muhammad Ali, then Hakim Ajmal Khan is there, Hassan Imam, Maulana Zafar Ali, and Mazhar ul Haq. Okay, Mazhar ul Haq. This is MAZ, right? So Mazhar ul Haq was there. So these were the important leaders, and these people, they dislike the politics of what is called as the Aligarh school. Okay, these Ehrar movement, dislike the Aligarh school. I've already discussed Aligarh school in the earlier lecture, right? And they also disliked the big Nawabs and Zamindars, and they were moved by this movement was highly modern, modern movement, okay? And they advocated active participation in the militant nationalist movement, okay? So they favored what is called as the militant nationalist movement. That is the basic idea, right? And then and not just on one side are these set of Muslims who are supporting the Indian nationalistic movement, and on the other side, see, a lot of people these days claim that the Muslim did not contribute to the freedom of India. Those people are utter foolish people. Do not rely on them. I'm telling you, all the religions contributed, but they contributed not as religious people. Okay, please understand, they contributed as the Indian citizens. Religion came much later. And similarly, if we talk about the traditional Muslim scholars, okay, it's not just that the traditional Muslim scholar, all of them, joined the Muslim League. Some traditional Muslim scholars, they also supported the Indian national freedom movement, because they were after all Indians only, right? So what kind of movement? For example, this movement was typically led by the Deoband school. Okay, and the most prominent, the person over here related to this movement, it was Maulana Abul Kalam Azad. Okay, this very important person. And he propagated his rationalist and nationalist ideas. So he had very rational, because he was educated. And so he had also nationalist ideas, because he's a rational and national. Acha, it sounds good, huh? Rational, national. Anyway, so then how he spread his idea. See how educated people spread their idea. Take a guess. Very easy. They write. So what do they write? They write a newspaper. If nobody allows you to write in their newspaper, you start your own newspaper. I'm just kidding, right? So anyway, whatever he started, it was Al Hilal. His newspaper is Al Hilal, one of the landmarks of Indian freedom movement. And this was at the age of 1912. But what is brilliant about this Maulana Abul Kalam Azad ji, that he started this newspaper, he did great contribution at the age of 24 years. You know, most of the people are foolish at the age of 24. I mean, not you if you are at that age or younger, right? But many people are at that age. I could not have imagined writing a newspaper at the age of 24. That's crazy, huh? See, Maulana, see, these people, for example, the Maulana Muhammad Ali, which I talked to you of Ahrar movement, or, this Maulana Abul Kalam Azad, or, and many, all these Muslim young people, they were preaching courage and fearlessness, okay, and they clarify to the people that there is nothing in conflict, but there is no conflict in Islam versus and nationalism. This is wrong notion, he said. Okay, this is wrong. Islam and nationalism, they are coherent. They do not have any conflict. Okay, so but after this, something more tragic happens. Actually, in 1911, what happens? There a war breaks out between Ottomans. Okay, Ottoman means Turkish. Okay, Turkey Empire, and Ottoman versus Turkey, Italy. Okay, we'll talk this in detail when I teach you world history. But over here, Ottoman versus this is Italy happening, right? Now, during 1912 and 13, right, there were Balkan Wars, 12, 13. Okay, you'll have to do all these wars in detail. I'll be teaching you world history, right? So there you'll see that. So Balkan War over there, they had to fight. They fight this war. They were fighting, and then that there was a Turkish ruler. Okay, and at this time, so the Ottoman is Turkey. Just in case you forget that. So Ottoman is Turkey, right? Now this Turkish ruler, he said that he was also the caliph. Okay, now who was the ruler of Turkey? He said, I am the caliph, or the religious head of all Muslim, caliphate. Okay, and moreover, nearly all the holy places of the Muslims, were at this time under the Turkish Empire or the Ottoman Empire. That is another factor that has to be considered. Now, because of this, right, because there was a wave of sympathy, across for the Turkey. Please understand that this is very different from today's IS movement. Okay, in the Islamic State movement, there is also demand for establishment of caliphate, but this person over here is not really supported by Indians. He is not supported by Indian Muslims. Most of them Indian Muslims, they oppose him, right? But if you talk about Turkey over here, see what is happening, that at that time in 1912-13, majority of the Muslims, right, big portion of the Muslims in India, they were they were sympathetic for the Turkey, and because of this, in fact, there was also a medical mission. Okay, a medical mission. It was sent to Turkey for a medical mission, and it was sent to Turkey by none other than Dr. M.A. Ansari. And he was one of the important prominent secular leaders of India, Muslim secular leaders. That is what the point is. So people were really sympathetic to Turkey at that time. Okay, and at that time, the problem was, as I told you, there first of all there were Balkan wars involved. Okay. So now Britain said that, because British are ruling India, so Britain said that during the Balkan War, British were against Italy. Okay, British were not sympathetic. British were against. Okay, they were against. Let me just write it here. British were against the Balkan Wars, against the Italy, against the Turkey. That is how it was. Okay, and now you see the Britishers are against the Turkey, and because of this, all the sentiment, see, which was all the pro-Turkey sentiment, okay, pro-Turkey sentiment, or all the pro-Caliph sentiment, pro-Caliph, or we can say, we can also call Caliph as Khalifa. Okay, this movement, this sentiment turned against Britishers, right? Please remember this thing very particularly, because later on I'm going to refer to this again. Now, in fact, what happens for the several years from the 1912 to 1924, what happens that the loyalists among the Muslim League, they were completely overshadowed by nationalist young men. So even the Muslim League was shadowed by the nationalists. So much of nationalism had spreaded in the people. Okay, you cannot say that they were in the favor of nationalist movement all because of the the pro-Turkey and the pro-Caliph movement. See, understand, when you are involved in the nationalist movement, you obviously tend to get nationalist. Okay, that element was definitely there. I'm not denying that, right? But then, in spite of this, later on, what happened that with few exception of few people like Maulana Abul Kalam Azad, and he was educated person, and that is why the Deoband school, that rational movement, was started by him. He was the main leader actually there, right? Not exactly started by him. Then but the most of the militant nationalists among Muslims, right? They did not for example, the Ihrar movement I told you, right? The militant nationalists, they did not really accept the idea of a totally secular approach to politics. Okay, they said we will be communal, somewhat communal in ideas, and because of this, what happened, the most important issues that they were really talking about, it was about the protection of holy places, protection of holy place, rather than the country. They were only concerned with their holy place, number one, and number two, they were more concerned about the Turkish Empire. That became the major problem with these militant nationalists. See, whenever there is violence, please understand that will have some kind of sin in it. Violence inherently has elements of hell in it, or inferno as it is called. Inferno means hell only. Okay, inferno का मतलब hell ही होता है. So that is how it is. Okay. So now, instead of they did not understood, or they did not opposed Britishers on economic or political issue. Okay, these people, the militant rationalists, they not right what opposed British on the economic and political imperialism. Okay, rather they fought imperialism on the ground because it threatened their caliph and holy places. Okay, and their sympathy for Turkey also, it was on religious grounds. So their Turkish Empire sympathy was not because it's Turkey, because it is their religious grounds. Okay, so their political appeal, actually this appeal was there on the religious sentiments of the people. That is how it was. Religious sentiment based approach was there, right? And you see whatever all the the militant nationalists, for example, Hindu nationalists, who were militant nationalists, they were invoking goddess Kali. That was the militant nationalists at that time. They were invoking the heroes, okay, and the myths, heroes and the myths, and what is the cultural traditions, okay, cultural traditions. The cultural traditions not of ancient or medieval Indian history, right? They were all referring to just to the West Asian history. By that we mean that their focus was on the purely Islamic element rather than anything else, right? It is right that this approach was communal in itself. But please understand that this approach, even though this was communal approach in itself, it was not against the policy of nationalism. Okay, this rather supported only nationalism. It made its adherents and supporter anti-imperialist, and in fact they encouraged the nationalist trend among the urban Muslims because of this, right? But in the long run, okay, that was in the short run, but in the long run, definitely this proved to be harmful. Okay, because it encouraged why it is harmful? Because we are looking at every good question, every secular question from the religious viewpoint. That is the problem. That is the long-term problem. That every secular question is being seen from the religious angle. Okay, and but then in any way, right? None of the political activities created among the Muslims masses a modern secular approach toward political and economic question, right? So, what I mean by none of these militant nationalist activities, right? They did not create a modern approach. That was the failure of these militant nationalists, right? And at the same time, Now that was about the Muslim communalism that was rising in the first two, let's say the last decade, the last 2 decades of the 19th century and the first 2 decades of the 20th century. Okay, but then at the same time there was Hindu communalism also growing rapidly. Okay, as I told you earlier, also there some people felt the Hindu tinge, and similarly Muslim tinge was there, but here Hindu communalism has also started spreading. So in Hindu nationalism, see what is happening, many Hindu writers and political workers, they started also, because there was Muslim communalism, and these people and then there was Muslim League, which was not the fault of Muslims, it was the fault of Britishers, I must remind you. Anyway, now from the 1870s there was a section of Hindu zamindars and money lenders, again the rich people, the lords, all those people, they began to arouse the anti-Muslim sentiments. So the rich, okay, and the landlord and the zamindar, all these people, they started opposing what, they started opposing the having the Muslims, anti-Muslim movement. Okay, anti-Muslim expression was there, right? Now, and finally, these anti-Muslim people, they accepted the flawed view of history written by the Britishers, and these Muslims said, these Hindus said that the medieval period was the tyrannical Muslim period. Again, this is a flawed history. Please listen to the earlier lecture if you really are confused about this thing. Okay, if you are offended that I am calling Hindu communalism over here, and if anyone is feeling offended, please go and listen to the earlier lecture. I have proven it there. I've talked it there that the history, the British version of the history was a wrong version of the history, and the so-called Muslim period was not tyrannical. In the medieval period was not really the Muslim period, it was the rule of Indians only. That is how it was. Okay, and they said we need to do what, we need to liberate, okay, and we need to save Hindus from Muslims. That is what they started saying, save Hindus from Muslims. And in UP and Bihar, they took up the question of Hindi, right? That was correctly done. Okay, for example, in UP and Bihar there was question of Hindi, which was good thing, right, which is not communal in itself. But then these people, these Hindu communalists, gave this thing a communal touch, that is why it became a problem. You see, they gave it a communal twist by declaring that which is totally wrong, which is totally unhistoric. It was never in the history. What did they say? That the Urdu was the language of the Muslim and the Hindi of the Hindus, which is a wrong thing. Talking about promotion of language is fine, Hindi, English, Urdu, Punjabi, whatever you want, right, that's fine. But if you cannot be saying that Hindi is of Hindus, then they started this anti-cow slaughter propaganda. Now see, I'll tell you their hypocrisy. I'll tell you this anti-cow slaughter campaign. Okay, let me just tell you about this now. See what happens, that propaganda, this was taken in the early 1890s by the Hindu communalists. Okay, and this campaign was against the Muslims. Please understand, this was not for religion. First of all, it was in the name of religion, it was there, but it was against the Muslims, because these very people, the Hindu communalists, they did not, whenever the cow was slaughtered in British cantonment, they did not oppose it. In fact, in British cantonment, cow slaughter happened on large scale, but when it is done by a Muslim, they would oppose it. What is this? You are being, chameleon. Okay, so that is how it is going on, right? And then what happens, there is this Punjab Hindu Mahasabha happening. Okay, okay, let me just write it here, Punjab Hindu Mahasabha. Okay, but so it wasn't Mahasabha, it was Punjab Hindu Sabha, right? It was founded in 1909, right? And these people, this Punjab Hindu Mahasabha, it attacked Indian National Congress. It said because they are trying, that the national leaders are trying to unite India into single nation, whereas in India Muslims are a different nation. That is Punjab Hindu Sabha saying. They oppose the Congress anti-imperialist. Okay, they are Hindu Mahasabha is opposing Indian National Congress because Indian National Congress is uniting India. They said no, you cannot do this. Then Hindu Mahasabha is opposing Indian National Congress. Why? Because Congress is opposing the Congress is opposing this Britisher, because Congress is being anti-imperialist. So that is why Punjab Hindu Mahasabha is opposing them, right? And then in fact they argued that Hindus should placate the foreign government in their fight against Muslims. They started saying that Hindus should fight for support for foreign government, okay, placate them, unko mana lo, to fight against the Muslims, right? And one of its leader even, there was a leader of Hindu Mahasabha, his name is Lal Chand, okay? He even declared this, that he was a Hindu first and Indian later, a Hindu first and Indian later. How is it possible? How can you be a Hindu, Sikh or a Muslim first and Indian later? Okay, so see, why this is not possible, because your relation with the religion is not by birth. Okay, it is because of your family you are born into, but then you are born at the soil, and that is why you are in the Indian soil first. Okay, and not just you, this religion is a creation of the man. Okay, but the soil is not the creation of the man, so you first belong to soil. That is how it is going on. Okay. And then, in fact, there was All India Hindu Mahasabha session held. The first session of the All India Hindu Mahasabha, okay, All India Hindu Mahasabha, right? All India Hindu Mahasabha. The first session of this was held in 1915 under the presidentship of Maharaja of Qasim Bazar. Okay. Now, it remained, right, for overall a weak organization only, and one of the reasons that this All India Hindu Mahasabha remained a weak organization, it was because that the greater weight and influence of modern secular intelligentsia, okay, I told you that education, literacy and employment and economic advancement was higher than Muslims, and it was modern and it was secular, and there were more reforms in Hinduism. Because of this, it largely remained secular movement. Okay, but among the Muslims, you see, they were landlords and bureaucrats. I told you, all those traditional religious dogmas, they still existed. And the colonial government, they also gave, British gave less concessions to Hindu communalists than the Muslim communalists. Why? Because you see, Britishers could make happy only either Hindu communalist or the Muslim communalist, and British chosen Muslim communalists, so they did not support Hindu communalists. So Hindu communalists remained weak over here. But it wasn't like this simple, right? There was a lot of more complexity involved, and I'll be talking to you here only about that. For example, now there is some confusion about the genesis of the this Hindu Mahasabha. Now there is little obscurity about it. It's not clear exactly that how Hindu Mahasabha started, right? There are a lot of stories, right? But overall, 1915 is the first session of All India Hindu Mahasabha, and 1909, as I told you about the Punjab Hindu Sabha Mahasabha, or as you want to call it, right? And then Hindu Mahasabha had its headquarters at Haridwar. Okay, that is how it was. Now, Madan Mohan Malviya was quite active. I would like to talk about these people because they are important, considering their names being newspapers all these days. Okay, so Pandit Madan Mohan Malviya, he explained that Mohammedans and Christians. Okay, he said that the Mohammedan and the Christians, they are trying proselytizing of of Hindus for centuries. For they converting Hindus to Christians and Muslims, right? And the majority, Madan Mohan Malviya claimed that the majority of the Hindus, the Muslims in India, they are originally Hindus who converted into the Islam. Okay, that was his saying. And Malviya, he further said that as a counter move to Muslim League, he put forward exaggerated claims for Muslim representation in elected bodies. He said that there too much representation. It was necessary to organize the Hindus to get a fair deal of fair deal of their community. That is how Madan Mohan Malviya was saying over here. And he also started this movement called as the Shuddhi movement and the Sangathan movement, for bringing back people who had converted. That is what Madan Mohan Malviya said. Okay, and then these became the main movements, the Shuddhi and Sangathan. And Malviya, he also emphasized on the socio-cultural mission of Hindu Mahasabha. Okay, socio-cultural mission of Hindu Mahasabha. See, Indian National Congress was a political organization. We know this thing. INC is a political organization, and it is having Hindus, Muslims, and Sikhs, and so Christians also in it, right? So Malviya said that Indian National Congress cannot deal with the social, cultural, and non-political issues, and in that, for Hindus, Hindu Mahasabha was organized to remove the social abuses in Hindus. Okay, for example, he said we'll remove child marriage. Okay, child marriage. We'll remove casteism. okay, will remove untouchability, such things, okay. And as Malvi emphasized, that the Hindu Mahasabha did not, Malvi kept on saying that Hindu Mahasabha is not in clash with the Congress, that we want to do development. But I tell you, all these tall claims of Hindu Mahasabha as a social cultural organization, they were, they were sort of hypocritical as per many books, okay. And they say that, for example, because similar claims, similar claims were put up by the Muslim League and similar by the Akali Dal in Punjab and other many communal organizations. All of them were having this problem, okay. They were saying we are socio-cultural, non-political organization, but in the end they did create sort of communalism, okay. That is how it was, right. The claims of Hindu Mahasabha were similar to these Muslim League and Akali Dal and others, okay. So I've just written it something for you already. Now in this, what happens, that there was a leader called V.D. Savarkar. After 1938 he became the leader of the All India Hindu Mahasabha many a times. He believed in Hindu Rashtra, okay. And Hindu Rashtra has nothing to do with the word Hindustan. Word Hindustan is a corrupted form of the word Sindhu, okay. And the people who came from the west that time to India, when they entered India, they crossed the Sindhu river. They did not know how to pronounce the word Sindhu. They called it Hindu, and that is how the word area, everyone who's living to the west, to the east of the Sindhu river was called as a person living in Sindhustan, or they called it Hindustan. That is how the word came, right. And if you have any doubts about it, you can go to the book A.L. Basham and understand that book, okay. Please understand one thing, right. Then that there's nothing called, it has no religious connotation. Hindustan doesn't mean land of Hindus anyway. But V.D. Savarkar said that because it is a Hindu Rashtra, we is a land of Hindus, Muslims can live here except the minority status, but we are a Hindu Rashtra. That is what he was saying. We will give Muslims equal rights, we will give them one person one vote, but then we are a Hindu Rashtra. That was his ideology. Then came S.P. Mukherjee, who was also quite a popular leader of Hindu Mahasabha, and he gave more nationalistic approach, okay, more nationalistic outlook. That is what he approached, okay. The S.P. Mukherjee gave that view over here, right. Now Hindu Mahasabha, just like Muslim League, it could never gain the support of the masses, right. Hindu Mahasabha never had the support of the masses, just like Muslim League never got it, okay. And at the same time, Muslim League, when Muslim League was demanding for Pakistan, Hindu Mahasabha, it was demanding for Akhand Hindustan. That is how the demands, the counter demand, okay, going on. See what is happening, that Hindu Mahasabhas, they had this propaganda, okay, All India Hindu Mahasabha. This All India Hindu Mahasabha, they had this propaganda of Hindu race, okay, they everything Hindu, right, Hindu race, Hindu culture, okay, and civilization, all those things, okay. And then Rashtra, of course, was there. Rashtra, nation. Rashtra means nation, right. So in India, because of this attitude, Muslims also got hardened. Just like Hindu Mahasabha hardened by the Muslim League, this attitude hardened Muslim League further. They became more suspicious, and now they were more loud in asking for demand for Pakistan. You see, you cannot answer communalism by communalism. You cannot say that other person was communal, so I also become communal. An eye for an eye makes the world blind. एक आंख निकालेंगे तो दूसरा भी निकालेगा और दुनिया अंधी हो जाएगी. So it must, however, be but to conclude it up, I can tell you, like, one thing is for sure, that when Muslim League is doing its communalism, Hindu Mahasabha is doing its communalism, but these communal activities were in any case weaker than the nationalist activities. Had these, what is the proof? Many of you will say, no, we still got divided. India got Pakistan was divided. These forces were stronger. No. Had these forces been so strong, then we would not have the structure of India. It would have been much, much worse. Whatever happened, that had communal element in it. I'm not denying that. But if these people were really, really strong, then India would not have got independence, because they were more keen on having British rule. Okay, that is where the problem is lying. And there's, if Muslims were stronger, if Hindus were stronger, there would have been Hindu Rashtra. But we are not a Hindu Rashtra. We are a secular Rashtra. We are a secular country. Okay, I hope this lecture helps you in being better citizens and in being secular citizens, right? And then there's just like one more thing that I'd like to talk to you, and that's like, just for the sake of secularism, please spread this lecture. Share this lecture with others on your social media. And if you like this lecture, and if you feel this was a good thing, please put a like on it. And if you want all the future videos of polity and history and of all the subjects that I will be covering in future coming into your email box, then you will have to click on the subscribe button here, right? And before I leave you, I would just seek an apology from all of you for if anyone is offended by any of my words in this lecture or in the lecture related to communalism or any of the lectures in general, right? Because my purpose, if your viewpoint is little communal or extremist, my purpose was never to offend you. My purpose was just to give you a right positive thinking, okay, which is right and positive, not just according to me, but also according to the great authors of Indian history, the great historians, which is giving the absolute true account of history. I hope you do not remain communal if anyone is, and I hope you promote secularism after listening to these lectures, right? So that is all, and thank you so much for watching this video.